the space program. Let's debunk that one, shall we? What happens? How do they propel themselves out in space with these? See, they've already shot themselves in the foot by showing the vessels that they go to space with. Remember, in 1969, we went with these jet-propelled capsules, rockets.
Yeah. I don't know what to call them. Things in a studio, tin cans.
Yeah, NASA and Walt Disney, they should join forces really and make cartoons and make people happy instead of steal their money. If you get a speedboat, right? You get a speedboat and it goes nicely in water because the propeller actually can propel itself against the molecules of H2O. So you take that speedboat out of the water and you turn that propeller on, and what happens as that propeller is spinning against the air? How far do you get?
You go nowhere fast.
You go nowhere because the molecules are not dense enough for those propellers. And so a jet engine, yes, okay, you can hop in a jumbo jet and you can, those jet engines made by Rolls-Royce and whoever else, beautiful jet engines, they can propel themselves because they propel themselves against, they draw in molecules of air, and that would be what? Well, that'd be 78% nitrogen, 20% oxygen. That's what they're drawing into their jet engines. They compress that, then they burn that, and then just shoot it out of a little nozzle, a little jet to the rear of the plane. And there's so much force there that they can actually propel that heavy vessel into the air. Now, once you get out of the Earth's atmosphere, what are you going to propel yourself in that void, in that, they call it, don't they call it a vacuum? I mean,
yeah,
there's no air particles.
Right. But how do we know? I've always wondered, how do we know there's a vacuum of space? I mean, what testing?
There is no vacuum.
Well, I know that, but how do they? I mean, scientists have discovered, I guess it could go into that category.
Lies
We've
on
just
lies.
been told, right?
Yeah, because they make layers and layers of stupidity for people to you go buy their scientific magazines so they can be deluded, misled, and parasited on.
They should have told us that at a certain height that none of us civilians can get to, it's all water up there. Then it would have been easy. Well, yes, but they should have told us that, because if they did, then it would have been easier to trick us, because they would have been able to propel something in water. They would have been able to do spacewalks, which they do in underwater pools. They really would have been able to fool us then, but they couldn't tell us that because they would be revealing a truth.
They've put their name in the book of fools for all of eternity. These people, rather than putting their names in the book of life, they've put their names deliberately and willfully for, I don't know, maybe cash in the back pocket. I don't know what they get out of it. Either they're mind controlled or whatever, but their names shall be ridiculed for it. Neil Armstrong will be the biggest buffoon, liar, demon worshipper in history. They'll go down as idiots, sheer idiots, just in the next few months that are coming because of the rapid rate of exposure of this Santa globe. Here's another one. All these half-cocked, half-witted followers of NASA and all of their lies. Solar eclipses. You see, they say, oh, yes, because the Earth gets in between the moon and the sun in a syzygy relationship, which means they're all in a line. Well, this is impossible because we have countless photographs of both the sun and the moon being above the Earth during solar eclipses. So that's just debunked by intelligence.